Hello, hi, welcome everyone for a new episode of The Curious Entrepreneur. Today we have a guest. His name is Ray. He's my friend, and we are going to discuss his journey, and he's going to share some experience with us. So Ray, please brief us out your introduction, kind of thing.
My name is Ray Berardinelli. I'm a physical therapist. I was the founder of a company called Bellicare Physical Therapy. It was a small private practice in the middle of Pennsylvania, basically the middle of nowhere. About 8 years ago, I started kind of branching out within physical therapy. I started to do software within physical therapy. I founded a company called ATIS, kind of focused on marketing within physical therapy and management within the clinic, and then kind of branched out into an EMR replacement, a company called the Self-Documenting Artificial Intelligence Medical Record, which we call Self-Doc for short. And actually in January, I just sold my practice after over 15 years and have gone full-time into the software.
I know you had like a lot of changes in your career, so that's what we want to discuss. We wanted to celebrate the journey of being a healthcare entrepreneur, and hopefully people can learn from or relate their struggles that people go through in order to get to the other side of the shine, right? Because everybody has their own piece of failure, has their own piece of joy, and has all their own piece of success. And I guess that's what we want to talk about it. So I know you had an outpatient that you started, right? So let's talk about your starting of your journey. How was your experience being an outpatient clinic owner? Just brief us out with that.
It was quite a ride. So I started out after only a couple of years out of school, out of PT school. I'm like, I'm going to start my own practice. Didn't know what I was jumping into. Had a father that was a CPA, so I knew that we could handle the business end of it. He had his own business, so that wasn't as much of a leap. It was ups and downs, like anything else. Started out, it took off. When I got started, I was so passionate about it. I was just doing everything. There wasn't any stone that I didn't flip over 3 times, to make sure that I didn't get everything that was under that stone. So, I really did well right out of the gate. I really, really worked my butt off. Then we kind of plateaued after the first 3, 4, 5 years. It started to tail down. We started to hit some kind of level. Honestly, at that point in time, I kind of lost my passion for it. I did it and I was still doing it. It was really hard to not make the level of money that I was making, to walk away and just let it all go.
It was more of a, I guess, was a no fault practice, right?
I'm sorry?
It was a no fault practice, like an auto injury kind of thing, like
everything. We were in network. We did everything. We had a really, really large percentage of workers' comp. We did a ton of workers' comp, which at the time was incredibly profitable. That since has changed, and without getting too far ahead in the story, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. But so we had a very, very heavy workers' comp practice, which was paying absolutely incredible money, and until the change happened, it was very, very lucrative.
Got it. So let's talk about some books. What we discuss is the books that has influence in your life, the good books. Let's share some experience about that.
I'm Christian, so naturally the Bible was the biggest influence on me in my life. But outside of that, business books, I would have to say the biggest one that made the biggest impact was The Wisdom of Success. Not a lot of people know about this book. It's by Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie, the Steel Titan.
Yes.
So it was the precursor for the book Think and Grow Rich. It was the interview where Carnegie told Hill, or asked Hill rather, if he would write this book, because Carnegie wanted some work out there about success and about how to achieve it and about how to get there. And the book was phenomenal. You know, the how Think and Grow Rich was phenomenal. But the wisdom of success, that aha moment for Napoleon Hill that set his entire life on a different path, was quite interesting to see.
So how do you relate yourself, some part of book being implemented in your life, or has affected decision making, thing?
So your mindset, the idea that you can will yourself into things, and the only thing that you have to overcome is you. Like, you're the only thing that stops you. There is not another thing in this world that stops you, but we find things to assign to that. We instead of blaming ourselves, there's always some other excuse. There's always something else. And just that look at how you achieve success. And, then the realization that even though it's you, the most important thing you can do to make yourself successful is identify the others around you. Identify the people around you that are going to be successful, and then hitch yourself to their wagon, and then show them together how them coming together mutually will benefit each of them individually. Like, that was Carnegie's unique gift. He said he wanted as his epitaph on his tombstone, here lies one who knew how to get around himself those more talented than him.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. You've got to find the people that are more talented than you, figure out a way to bring them together to show them how their success will be greater if they work as a group as they work individually. And that's kind of the idea of the book.
Yeah. No, I think I have read, Think and Grow Rich, and like one thing, of course, that one of the book that is common, that from Andrew Carnegie, and like another books are Rich Dad Poor Dad and other stuff that that sounds more common. More and more people I'm interviewing, like you are the seventh person, and I think the kind of book that people have influenced are sounding similar to in a lot of ways, like the financial management, or having more clarity, like mental clarity, that what you want to do in your life has a major role in changing people's life, and I've been more and more emphasizing that start reading books, even if you don't like it. Nowadays you have a lot of options like podcast or Audible, or a lot of ways, back in those days you literally have to open a physical book in order to read it. Now people are coming at you with the information. You just have to be open enough to receive it, right?
Correct.
So another question for you is, like, I know you had a couple of career changes, right? So how did it help to find your passion? Like, I know you're like, now health, like, software is your passion, but just help us the mindset that went through, going that transition.
Oh, the transition was tough. Like I said, I just about the time Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, whatever you want to call it, kicked in, there were also subsequent changes in reimbursement where I was. Our workers' comp contracts, which I said we were very heavy, they were going from $170, $180 a visit down to like $85 a visit. So this huge amount of money that we were making on these contracts just kind of went away. And honestly, for a long time, I was kind of depressed about it. I was, the amount of money that I was making got slashed like in less than half. It was just a rough time for me. I was afraid to move. I didn't know what to do. I was worried about everything. Everything scared me. Everything petrified me. I stayed in one spot, and I spent too many years sitting there just trying to protect what I had. And then there was a huge aha moment where I sat down and was, basically praying, and I'm like, well, is this it? Am I going to ride out the rest of my life just doing this? Maybe open up another clinic, do this, and then the answer was, no, that's not what I want with my life. And then I decided that some of the things that were rolling around in my head and the things that I had been begging the EMR companies that I worked with to do, I decided that maybe it was time to start moving that way on my own and start working that way all on my own. And it was probably one of the most liberating things I've ever done in my life, was the realization that I wasn't where I belonged, that the thing that I was doing, the thing that I had devoted 20 years of my life to, wasn't the right place for me. I was sitting in the wrong seat all along.
Yeah, but that's the journey we want to discuss, because the people who have identified, sooner or later, because KFC is another example where, he found out when he was 62 or 65, right? But that click is very important to happen, okay? Because if that doesn't happen, your life will pass away without meaning, right? So finding a meaning is something, is very helpful for anybody who wants to, do something good in their life. And we want to, help them to find that meaningful by, translating these experiences so that they can, find some relevance to it and see, because struggle is real, okay? Nobody's can escape it. Like your part of struggle, you have to face it. Like my part of struggle or my part of failure, I have to face it. And I have to go through that process in order to become who I am right now, right?
Right.
And that's what we wanted to discuss, and share with by this platform and stuff like that. So
right.
What we wanted to discuss is like, what have you done? What we discuss is a side hustle that I personally feel that every healthcare entrepreneur or anybody who is doing working in healthcare should have a side hustle. Identify what you like. So we want to talk about your side hustle, like from the beginning, that the day you graduated, what all side hustles you have done so far.
So as far as as I would call like a side hustle, I wouldn't really say that there was a definitive side hustle that I had. Honestly, so this is it's just my humble opinion on the thing. Find what you're good at and stick to that, right? There's an old saying. This is from a really old book, because I'm a dork and I read old books. This is Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations, which was written in the 1600s about economics.
Mm-hmm.
In it, there's he says, as the proverb says, and we have a totally different one of these now. Jack of all trades will never be rich.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So find what it is that you're passionate about. Find what it is that you're good at. If it is your side hustle, turn your side hustle into your full-time hustle. Like, dump yourself into that one thing. You can't ride two horses effectively at the same time. So like you start out, right? So maybe you're a physical therapist and you get some side hustle that you like and you're passionate about. If you're more passionate about that than the other thing, you need to start making plans to get off of the other horse. Like for me, it was my physical therapy practice. And it was big and it was scary and it was ugly. And I decided, all right, I got to get off that horse and ride this horse, because I can never have either horse go as fast as I want it if the other one's holding me back, right? If I got one foot on two horses, I can only go as fast as the slower horse.
Yeah.
So,
and like what I identified is having a side hustle is because people are getting kind of a factory trained, right? So like getting out of college, they are going to take a job and stuff, So, and plus, they are coming out of it, like a lot of student loans, right? So that's not an easy way for anyone nowadays just to get off and pursue the passion. And not necessarily you will find it in a one shot, right? There has to be given a couple of shots in order to find the right shot
Right.
that
Right.
clicks, right?
Right.
So that way, like my idea of side hustle is, try to do as the side thing until that click happens, right?
Right.
So that's what I try to, translate into when I discuss about side hustles.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
you have to survive, right? You have to pay your bills.
Right.
You have to get the food. So even though, like, it may be not something you like it, but you have to do it in order to feed your family or feed yourself. So by doing that, we want to make the transition from, 9 to 5 or doing something that you don't like to do something that you like or you're good at it. And, then make the transition out of it.
Something that's so interesting, right? That you were just saying about something that you don't like, right? So there's two things. Number one, this is from Marcus Aurelius, and there's a book called this based off of it. The obstacle is the way, right? So in that book, he's discussing exactly what Marcus Aurelius talked about. When there's an obstacle in the way, removing that obstacle actually can become the way. The thing that is stopping you from moving forward makes you move forward further than you ever could have moved, because you're trying to remove that pain. For me, it was the documentation, right? The documentation bit was horrible. I couldn't stand it. I was taking it home. I was spending hours and hours and hours just doing this paperwork. I was losing all of this time with my family. It would wake me up at night. I couldn't sleep. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I wasn't happy at all in my life. And then removing that obstacle became my way forward. Like, it became the passion of my life, because I realized that I'm not the only one that's here. There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people that are in the exact same boat as me, that are fighting this fight every day. And I decided that I'm just not going to accept the fight anymore, that I'm going to do something about it. I have to change that. I have to remove the obstacle.
Yes.
So that's kind of interesting. So my side hustle, I just went into the thing that was bothering me the most and tried to remove it. So if you aren't sure what that thing is for you, find the biggest problem in your life and try and fix it. If you can fix it, if there's a huge problem in your life and there are a lot of other people that are in the same boat as you, you can make one heck of a living helping people remove that pain from their life. They will pay you handsomely to remove that pain from their life. So if you're not sure, look at the obstacles in front of you and then start trying to fix one here or one there, and find which one that you're passionate about fixing. And then pour yourself into that, dump yourself into it. And with each success, it's like being on a drug, I guess, where like you get the first hit of it and you're like, holy crap, I got to do that again. And you're like, I've got to push harder. I've got to go further. In each and every time you get excited about it. You get a high off of it every time, and you got to push further and further and further into it until you sell your business and try and reinvent yourself.
If I recall my personal struggle with documentation, I'll just add on, because I think you have hit the nail, because I still remember myself when I started home healthcare in 2010. I used to write 400 pages a week, and my finger right here, just by writing it used to get sore.
Wow.
And the worst part is I'm writing the same information, like 80 to 90% of the information is exact same. Patient name, information, insurance, diagnosis, the changes, because we are in the field of physical therapy, so we don't do magic. So from first visit to second visit, there is a subtle change in range of motion, or the way they walk or they stand. So there is a subtle change. It's not like a miracle that they're not walking and now walking, right? So every note that you write, there's a subtle change, but 80% of the information, I was keep writing it the same for 400 pages.
Right.
And I can feel the burn every weekend that ends, the amount of paperwork that I had to drop Monday morning, and just the manual labor that used to, I was watching this interview from Jeff Bezos, and in early days of Amazon, he used to operate in from garage, right? And used to work on the floor like crazy to put the shipping packages. And I can relate myself into Sam's position, because like he was, at the end of the day, he was having swollen knees, and the best invention he can think of next day was a knee pad. And he was sharing this experience, and I was relating myself doing these paperwork and doing the same thing. And the biggest thing I have invented was a feeder, like a feed scanner, because those days even printers were kind of coming out as a new technology, so like from individual to a feeder was a blessing for me. From scanning 400 pages individually to a feed, putting it in the feeder, and I can sleep for like 2 hours more instead of wasting that time. So technology has shaped and will be shaping the way we work, for sure. There is no doubt about it. So
Yeah.
if you can find in that, that's fine, but there's a lot of ways people can make money out of it. But yeah, identifying that problem is the key. And that's where you have to do some trial and error just to see what works for you. It's like trying the clothes, until you find that perfect clothes that fits you, makes you comfortable, and then it hits you, then you just go with that.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree more. That's exactly what happens.
Okay. So my next question is, what will be some tips that you would like to give out to new grad, or somebody is watching the video and like it's still early in their phase, where the level you and me are, we have done enough groundwork, and so just piece of advice or your personal experience that you would like to share to somebody who's following up our footsteps.
Don't waste time. Number one, don't get stuck. Don't let yourself get stuck. Don't ever feel stuck. When you're stuck, look at your problems, and then try and see if you can find something that other people have the same problem. If you can figure out how to solve your problem and you can successfully do it for yourself, then you can successfully do it for others, because mastering it yourself is the hardest part. Once you master it yourself, then it's easy to help others do the same thing. So don't get stuck. Find the problems, find out which ones you can fix and you're good at. Dive into those, and then start working that way. Don't waste time. Really, don't waste time. Don't let fear get you. Don't let anything get you. Everything in your life is an opportunity. Like right now, I don't know when somebody's going to be listening to this, but we're in the middle of the COVID crisis. Everybody is worried, right? There's more opportunity than there ever is right now. Like literally right now, there is more opportunity. Like, take our profession, for example, physical therapy, right? You might not be able to work. Yeah, but guess what? There are a lot of people out there that have huge problems right now. Yes. Number one, doctors are worried about getting overwhelmed. They don't have masks. They don't have anything. You can be a solution to try to help them from being overwhelmed. You just have to be creative enough to figure out a way to reach that person, to let them know that you're here, and you'll do, I don't know, maybe free telehealth. You look at the problem and say, okay, well, there are people at home right now that we're supposed to have elective surgeries right now.
Yes.
They don't have elective surgery. They are at home. They're stressed out. They're stuck. They're worried about their finances. I'll guarantee you their pain's higher than ever. They have a huge problem. Yes. If you can solve that problem right now for them, like, so say you're not working, if you can solve that problem as a physical therapist for them, they're going to seek you out personally on the other end of this, because you helped them when there wasn't anybody else there for them. You solved their problem for them. That's endearing to the other person. Like, so in every circumstance, there's opportunity. There's opportunity. Find the problem, you find the opportunity. You fix it, you win, you'll be successful.
Got it. No, thank you for those words. Means a lot. Now, I know you have worked in a but the second biggest challenge I see is like there are a lot of people, especially in healthcare industry, fails when it comes to marketing, right?
Yeah.
They have the skills, but they don't know how to market themselves enough so that they can convert the patient or bring in the patient and make their practice successful kind of thing. And I know you have made like you have worked yourself around the marketing and stuff. So let's talk about your view on marketing and your experience.
Yeah. So marketing honestly is nothing but relationship building,
Okay.
right? That's all marketing is. It's relationship building. You're building a relationship with somebody else. You're trying to identify the people that have the problem that you can fix, letting them know that you can fix their problem, and bringing them in. Now there are different, so there we have a problem, number one, in marketing in general, right? Then as soon as people realize within our profession that marketing is something that should happen, they immediately jump to, I need to figure out how to get new patients in the door, right? So they look at it and they're like, okay, let's try to get cold traffic in here, right? Which is the absolute hardest, most difficult way, most costly, time-consuming way that you can try to bring people into your practice, right? Try to take cold leads, warm them up, get them to come in. This is a long, costly process. Meanwhile, you have people that love you, the ones that did come into your door that love you, that walk out and you're like, all right, hey, good luck. We'll see you later. And you let them go, right? And you just let them go. They love you. They want to talk to everybody about you. 3-4 months, their life's good. They forget about you. They don't talk about you unless somebody brings it up, right? You're letting your biggest opportunity go. Like all of the research shows that 80% of your future customers are going to come from 20% of your past clients, which means that only 20% of your new customers are cold traffic,
Mm-hmm.
right? The other ones, the bulk, 80% is going to come from your happy customers. If you spend more time on your happy customers and spend more time making more happy customers, that 80% of the pie will grow way faster than it ever could if you double the 20% and now have 40%. All you have to only increase by 50% from your past customers to blow that clean out of the water. It's just amazing. And that's the biggest leverage point in your business. Creating an incredible experience, wowing your customer is what's going to bring more into your practice than anything. Like this is, have you read the E-Myth? I know we were talking about books before. The E-Myth, in the E-Myth, he's talking about, not to get off on a tangent here, I'm sorry, you can stop me if we need to.
No, it's fine.
But so in E-Myth, he's talking about, he tells this story about this hotel that he went to. He wanted to go somewhere relatively nice, so he goes to this hotel. So he goes into the hotel, the door's open, he's like, wow, this place is nice. There's a big bowl of fruit sitting on the table, it says, please help yourself. He walks over, he starts talking to the lady at the desk. The bellhop comes, she's nice, she's making small talk with him, asking him, about why he's here, what time he's getting up in the morning, does he need a call? No, I always get up around this time. So the bellhop comes, he's not thinking anything about it. She asks him if he's hungry. He says, yes. She says, okay, we have a restaurant connected to us. It's normally pretty full, but we reserve some spots just for our guests. Would you like me to let them know you're coming? He said, yeah, actually, I am pretty hungry. So he goes into the room and he says that, the room's really nice. There's a fireplace with a match turned at a 45-degree angle. All the logs are perfectly placed in there. And he notices that they perfectly arranged the logs. The room looks pretty nice. He goes, he eats dinner, and he's by himself and he's making small talk with a waiter. He's drinking his bourbon and he's walking back to his room and he's like, you know what? I'm going to have to find out where a bar is. I'd really like another bourbon. I'd like to sit down and have a bourbon by the fire there, light that fire and have a bourbon. So he goes to open up his room. He opens it up. Somebody beat him to it. There's already a fire there. And as he walks into the room, he notices the lights on and he looks over, and under the light, there's bourbon sitting there with a note against it from the lady at the front desk. Hey, this is your bourbon. exactly the way you like it. If you don't want it, leave it here or dump it out. I'll take care of it in the morning. If you need anything, I'll be up all night waiting for your call, Karen. So he's wowed by this. He's like, holy crap. What? And then he starts to think. So now he's wowed. He's like, what happened? How did they pull this off? And then he's like, the waiter let them know what kind of bourbon I like. They got this ready while I was gone. He told them when I was getting ready to leave. So they got this all ready so that when I walked into the door, this was my experience, right? Then he goes to bed after a very pleasant evening. He wakes up in the morning to the smell of coffee. And he walks over and there's a coffee pot set and there's another note and it says, hey, this is your brand of coffee, exactly the way you like it. The creamer's in the refrigerator. We know you like a creamer. And he's going, how the hell did they know? It was the waiter. The waiter was making small talk with him, asked him if he wanted coffee. He said no. The waiter started talking about coffee. He just reciprocated, but the waiter was keeping track of what he said. So as he's sitting there drinking his coffee, and she knew what time to set the thing because she asked if he wanted a wake-up call. He said, no, I always get up about this time. She set the timer 15 minutes before that. So then he's sitting there drinking his coffee. There's a knock at the door. There sits a newspaper, not any newspaper. It's his newspaper, the New York Times. He's in San Francisco, and it's the New York Times that he likes to read. And he's like, how did they? And then he remembers his conversation with her at the beginning, talking about she was reading something in the newspaper and that she loves this newspaper. And he just happened to say he likes the New York Times. So if you look at all of this, this is a 5-star hotel, right? The reason it's 5-star has not, he didn't mention the bed. He didn't mention the bathroom. He didn't mention anything.
Yes.
It was like $8 worth of stuff that wowed him to the point that he was like over the moon for this place. And he said he and his wife went back for the rest of their lives to this place at least once or twice a year. And it's been the same experience every time, right? You can make the same thing happen in a practice, like in a physical therapy practice. You can make the exact same thing happen. But we get so focused on how comfortable the bed is or how nice the shower is that we totally miss the boat. We totally miss it. They don't care about that stuff. They care about that you're listening to them.
The personalized stuff.
That you went out of your way to not only listen to them, but do something about it. And that you have systems in place that make it so that they have this incredible wowing experience every time they walk through the door. Yeah. If you can do that for them, you don't have to spend one damn penny ever on a Facebook ad or Google ad or anything, because those people are going to run around. They're going to write books and they're going to put the experience that you gave them in their damn book because you knocked their socks off. Yeah. Right? So your marketing, when you're marketing, the most important thing is wowing your customer. You've got the customer. If you give them a mediocre experience, you'll get mediocre referrals on the back end. If you give them a wowing experience, they won't shut up about you. They'll talk about you. People won't be able to. And then if you have a system where you're continually reaching out to them and never letting them forget you, you're always on the top of their mind. They're always looking to talk about you. So that's my advice. Like, figure out how to wow your customer. Once you wow them, marketing's easy.
Got it. So in the last section, we discussed about, some not sad experience, but some bad experience that has, been teacher in your personal life that, that even till today motivates you to do, to make the difference, kind of thing. So that's what, if you would like to share that.
Oh yeah. So this is my passion. This is the reason that I do what I do. So like everything started to go south. I was okay with the paperwork and the level of things that I had to do and what I had to give up for the level of income that we were getting. Then when things started to change, it really started to grate on me. And then I'm a numbers guy. So I sat down and I started doing the math and I started looking. I spent about 3 years, at 40 hours a week, I spent about 3 years of my life documenting. My children are 16, 14, and 7. I can never get that time back. It's
Yes.
gone. I lost it. I lost that time with my children because I was sitting in the room with them. I was present. I was there, but I wasn't present, as my wife always said. I was sitting there and I would be typing on my computer. I was focusing on my computer and missing my children's lives and my life with them around me. That killed me. Absolutely killed me. It ate me up. Then I talked to other people who lost marriages and had it even worse than me. And that negative thing in my life, the removal of that negative thing has become the passion of my life. Like at PPS last year, when we did our launch thing, I apologized to my daughter for all the time that I lost with her, my 16-year-old. I apologized for all the time that I lost that I could never get back. I could never go back there and relive that time with her. I lost it. And now my life's goal is to make sure that no one ever loses that again. And I won't quit till it's done.
Yes.
So that negative, that thing that killed me and still kills me. It's the most powerful thing that happened to me in my professional life.
Sure. No, definitely. That's why we are, because everyone needs a reason, right? Like when you have a reason, it's going to motivate you rest of your life. And we're just trying to share some of the reasons, so at least you can relate yourself and kind of thing. So I would say final question is like some words of wisdom that you want to just, spread out from your personal experience to handle the healthcare situation or to just be successful in healthcare industry.
In the healthcare, I'll say even a little more broadly at life in general.
Yes.
Don't ever assume anything's too big for you. Like most of the world will sit there and tell you that your dreams are too big. Like that who are you to fix this? Your dreams are too big. That's too much. There's too much to do for you. How could you possibly begin to do that? Like your whole life, everything is trying to push you into like being a line worker. Like even if it's physical therapists, they try to push us into that we do this monotonous job, right? Don't ever think that anything's too big for you. Like your dreams are not too big. I'm here to tell you your dreams are too small. You need to dream bigger, and you really need to go after it. And it looks too big. Take the first step. That's the hardest one. After that, it starts to move faster and faster and faster. And those dreams get closer and closer and closer. And when you get nicked up and get banged up and lose everything, know you're in good company. Ford lost everything twice before he made it. Edison, he failed 10,000 times. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. Just keep pushing. You will get there.
No, thank you. And those are powerful words. I think we'll wrap up our interview for now, but we'll definitely are going to make some more videos in a shorter format so that, we can just pick a topic and, just based on that topic only, we can, just spread out some experience or knowledge to the world. So we'll be definitely doing that and making some Facebook Lives. And I think we'll be bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.